Thanks for joining us for the first edition of the Christian Movie Minute in about, I think a year and a half or 2 years. So we've since changed our name to FishFlix.com. And I'm here with Noelle Niskanen, and we're here to talk about the movie Dropbox. So the Dropbox. It's not to be confused with the application on your phone that you use for storing files.
Correct.
It's actually something much more meaningful and more significant. So I want to start with why don't you just introduce yourself here, Noelle?
Okay, my name is Noelle Niskanen, and I have 3 children and just recently watched the Dropbox film maybe about, I don't know, what was it, maybe 3 weeks ago when it came out for its premiere, for the 3-day premiere. I caught it one of the nights.
Great. So why don't you just, tell us, I've, prepped you well for this interview here. Tell us what you thought of the film, and, why don't you start by telling us why it's significant to you.
Sure.
And your family.
Yeah, I had an interest in the film before it was even released. I had kind of been following it because my family and I adopted a little boy from South Korea, and we were in Seoul for 6 weeks in 2013. And during the time we were there, the filming crew from the Dropbox film was actually on site in Seoul for portions of the time that we were there. And so we were kind of following their blog about the film and what they were doing and that sort of thing. We didn't get a chance to go specifically and visit Pastor Lee, the film that it's the man that it's about, but we kind of have been following the story for a long time because of the time we spent in Seoul and because of our interest in South Korea.
That's great. And so how long has Henry been with your family?
For just over a year.
Okay, great. So, well, tell us, we're going to try to keep this brief. I know that when we get together and talk about different things, we could talk for a half hour.
Sure.
But let's talk for about 5 minutes here about what you thought about the film.
Yep.
And what kind of people do you think would enjoy it?
Sure. Well, first of all, I loved the film, and I could probably talk, like you said, forever about it, but to keep it short, I would say that I loved it because I felt such a personal connection to it. It kind of touches on issues that I feel strongly about, and I think it was just an amazing documentary, and it was highly inspiring to see what one person or one family can do and what kind of an impact they could have.
Okay, actually, let's, I just thought of one disadvantage to the unscripted interview.
Yes.
Let's go back a little. Why don't you tell us about the movie? What is it about? I mean, for anybody that's not familiar with the Dropbox,
Yep.
What's the concept?
The premise of the movie is about a man named Pastor Lee who lives in Seoul, South Korea. And in response to what he saw as a problem in Korea was child abandonment. And so he actually built a box. They call it the baby box. And this box is on the side of his home, and it's warmed and it's insulated, and mothers or families who in essence are at the end of their rope or don't know how to take care of this child have a safe place to in essence abandon the child.
Okay, gotcha. So we're talking South Korea.
Yep.
Now what's the cultural, why, help us understand. I mean, I know that ever since I was in grade school, there's been South Korean children being adopted to the United States,
Yes.
and I think of South Korea as a prosperous,
Yes.
almost a Western-like nation.
Yes.
So, what is it about South Korea that leads to child abandonment
Sure.
and children being adopted into, from what seems to be one wealthy nation to another?
Yes. Well, that's it's a big topic to cover.
Of course.
But what I cannot do it justice, honestly.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, first of all, the Dropbox film. It's interesting because a lot of people have been talking about adoption with it, but he himself, Pastor Lee, adopted children that actually came through the box. But the story is kind of more about, I'm going to call it like the sanctity of life, or about every life matters, because a lot of the children they see have disabilities or other issues. But you're right, South Korea is a prosperous nation, but has a lot of pressures to conform to societal norms. Bloodlines are very important, and having kind of the image, if you will, of the perfect family is very important. And so there's not a lot of support for single mothers in South Korea. And you need to, in South Korea, you have to be part of what's called a family registry. Because I don't understand it that well, I think of it kind of like as getting a social security number. And that's at least the way I kind of interpret it. And if a child is not entered on that registry, their entire future is challenging, to say the least.
Gotcha.
In terms of everything from entrances into schools to prospects for marriage down the road to getting a job even. And so,
okay. So they don't fit on the registry because the father's not in the picture?
Correct. Or no, somebody is not willing to register them because of the
Okay.
shame that it might bring to their family
Got it.
to have had a child out of wedlock.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me
Yep.
because our children are half Turkish and half American
Yes.
citizens, and when we went to get their identity cards, there was, it was like a case of like a book is being taken off a
Yes.
shelf, and they're being added to a
A
registry.
registry,
Yep.
yes. Mhm.
Almost like a family tree
Yes.
type of thing.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
yep, I can see that. I
Yes.
see that a lot. So the film are we talking feature film or documentary?
A documentary.
Okay.
And from what I understand, the filmmaker, this was his first documentary, and he was just spurred on by reading an article in a newspaper about what was going on with this pastor in South Korea, and was intrigued enough to say, I'm going to get in contact with him and see if he would do a series of interviews with me, and that kind of is what led to the film.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's bring this thing to a close. Like, tell us, your final. What did you think of the movie,
Yep.
and who do you think would enjoy such a thing?
I think that somebody would enjoy the film that has maybe adopted from South Korea, somebody who just has an interest in Korean culture. I would say somebody who has a special heart for children with disabilities or children who have been abandoned or somehow oppressed would have a special
Yep.
interest in this film.
Yep.
And I would also say that if issues of sanctity of life or kind of the dignity of human life are passions of yours, this would also be a film you'd be interested in.
Fantastic. And this film was associated with the Focus on the Family, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah. So that was a big part of, if you've heard of the film, that might be where you've heard of it.
Yes.
So, well, we hope to have the Dropbox here at FishFlix.com as soon as it's available on DVD. We're not making that available for pre-order yet because we're not sure when the release date's going to be. But as soon as we know when it's available, you can order it from us. They've done a second showing in the cinemas. It was released like as a 3 days, a 3-day cinematic release, and then it was so popular that they came back and did it the following Monday, which is just great. I think these alternative release strategies are great because it gets people like us who maybe wouldn't even go to the movies very often out to see an important film that I just think it's great.
Yep.
So did you enjoy that aspect of it? Was it packed?
It was packed. Yep, our movie theater was sold out actually all 3 nights, which was, and it's enjoyable to watch a movie with a sold out crowd, especially one that's kind of behind the film, if you will. I mean, there was a lot of reactions to the film from the audience. There was a lot of kind of camaraderie felt, I think, even amongst the attendees in the audience, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, that seemed like I wanted to go too because I thought it would be a unique experience in this theater. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for joining us for the first time we've been back with FishFlix.com Christian Movie Minute. If you enjoy this kind of thing, please leave a comment and let us know that you enjoyed the video, so that we'll keep making more. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and subscribe on our email list as well. Thank you very much.